If you know what you should be doing, but for whatever reason you can't bring yourself to do it consistently, this video is for you. If you're new here, my name is Matt. I'm a mental performance coach and a mindset mentor, and I help you master your mindset, your habits, and your results so that you can think better, feel better, and get out there and perform better. Have you ever been motivated to make a change? Maybe even started out strong, but a few weeks later you fall off and before you know it, you're right back where you started. Yeah, I get it. I hear that all the time. Well, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is it's not laziness. It's not a lack of self-discipline, and it's certainly not because you don't want it bad enough. But the bad news is that's your brain working against you. You see, here's the truth that most people don't realize. Your brain is not designed to make you happy or successful. That is not its job. Your brain is a survival mechanism, and it's simply designed to keep you safe and help you survive. That's it. And in an effort to do that, your brain is constantly trying to conserve energy and automate your behavior. It's called automaticity. In fact, research suggests that up to 95% of your daily behavior is actually the result of automaticity. It's just you running on autopilot. Kind of scary, right? But it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. If you had to consciously think about every little thing, like putting on your pants, brushing your teeth, or tying your shoes, you would burn through an insane amount of cognitive energy. And so, in an effort to conserve energy, your brain just automates it. Here's a perfect example. How many times have you driven home, pulled into your driveway, and thought, wait a minute, how did I even get here? Because you were thinking about something entirely different the whole time. That's automaticity in action. And from an energy efficiency standpoint, autopilot isn't a defect. It's actually a feature. But when it comes to creating change, that's where it becomes a problem. Your brain loves familiarity. Why? Because familiarity equals safety, even if you want something better and you know that you're capable of more. And as far as your brain is concerned, it sees change as an energy expenditure and the unknown as a potential threat. So when you try to introduce a new habit, like going to the gym, eating better, or waking up earlier, your brain pushes back, not because it's wrong and not because you shouldn't do it. It's just your brain doing its job. It wants to conserve energy and maintain the status quo. Now, you can override that internal resistance with willpower and self-discipline, but studies show something that you already know, and that's that willpower and self-discipline are a limited resource. And that's why you start strong, but then life happens and you get busy. And before you know it, you've fallen off and you're right back to old patterns and old habits. And not because you failed, but because you relied on the wrong system. So the real question is, how do you get your brain to work for you rather than fight you? First, start with one thing, not three, not 10, one. Don't try to overhaul your whole life overnight. Start with one thing. Simplicity wins. Next, start ridiculously small. There's a concept in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, called the 2-minute rule. Literally start so small you can't fail. Want to work out? Start with 2 minutes. Want to read more? Start with 2 minutes. And people always ask, well, 2 minutes, what's the point? Well, here's the point. One, something is always better than nothing. But you're not just building a habit, you're building the identity. You're becoming the kind of person who shows up and follows through, even when you don't feel like it. And number three, focus on consistency. Consistency is way more important than intensity. Perfect conditions rarely exist, so stop waiting until you have more time or until life finally slows down. Do it anyway. Consistent repetition is how you reprogram your brain. And with time, repetition turns that effort into automaticity. And number four, use habit stacking. Habit stacking is where you stack a new habit onto something that you already do. For example, after I brush my teeth, I do 2 minutes of stretching. Or after I make coffee, I do 2 minutes of reading or journaling. This works because you're anchoring a new habit onto an already existing habit and significantly increases your chances that you'll stick with it. Number five, design your environment. Your environment shapes your behavior way more than most people realize. So design your environment to support your goals. For example, you can make bad habits harder by putting junk food out of reach. that old out of sight, out of mind, or make good habits easier by laying out your gym clothes or leaving a book or a journal on your nightstand. Essentially, you want to reduce the friction around positive habits and increase the friction around bad habits. Number 6, shift your identity. And this one's huge because one of the strongest drivers of human behavior is the desire to act consistent with our beliefs about who we think we are. And if you believe that you're just not disciplined or you've always been a procrastinator, you'll prove it to yourself. Instead, start telling yourself that I'm someone who shows up consistently, or I'm the kind of person who takes care of my mind and body. You see, your identity informs your habits, but then your habits reinforce that identity. It's a pattern, it's a cycle, and you cannot change one without the other. And number 7, use an app or a calendar to track your progress. Having visual cues to monitor your habits helps gamify the process. And this is why apps like Fitbit or Duolingo are so successful. But aim for progress, not perfection, because progress builds confidence, which leads me to number 8, and that's ditch the all or nothing thinking. And too often, this is where people fall off. They miss a day, maybe 2, and they quit. And they think, well, I blew it. But consistency doesn't mean perfection. I recently heard a quote that speaks directly to this. And it says that the longer you're on the wrong train, the more expensive it is to get back home. And we're not talking about trains here. So if you miss a day, that's okay. The quicker you get back on track, the better. And lastly, build accountability. You see, there's a direct relationship between accountability and success. And the more accountable you are to another human being, the more successful you'll be. So find a coach, a friend, a mentor, or an accountability partner. Somebody that will hold you to following through on what you say you want to do. But here's the bottom line. Change is not hard because you're lazy or undisciplined. It's because your brain is wired for survival, not transformation. But once you understand that, you can start playing the game differently. Small steps, consistent action, and identity shifts. That's how you create change long term. And if that hits home, do yourself a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe for more. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to start.